Piers Morgan suffered a sudden fall in London that left him hospitalized, seriously injured, and facing a full hip replacement. This video covers the verified facts of his accident, the medical outcome, his own account of the fall, and where his recovery stands now. Piers Morgan sits among Britain's most recognizable media figures, and in January 2026, at age 60, he was actively hosting Piers Morgan Uncensored, a role that kept him constantly in the public eye. That visibility meant news of his sudden hospitalization traveled fast across British media circles. His outspoken style and sharp humor have long made him a polarizing broadcaster, which meant reactions to his injury arrived quickly and loudly. A familiar voice in British television had suddenly become the subject of breaking news. It caught attention immediately. January 18, 2026 marked the day everything changed. Inside a London hotel restaurant, Morgan tripped on a small step, lost his footing, and hit the ground hard, which led him to describe the moment as falling like a sack of spuds. The impact fractured the neck of his femur, a serious injury near the hip joint that required urgent medical attention. A simple misstep in a familiar setting had turned into a medical emergency. The result was swift hospitalization. Doctors determined the damage was severe enough to require a full hip replacement, and Morgan confirmed this himself in a social media update posted from his hospital bed. His words explained that the fracture was so badly done that replacement surgery was necessary instead of simpler treatment. Alongside the written update, he shared a selfie from the hospital and an image of his X-ray, which showed the extent of the injury. That single post became the primary verified source of information. No official medical statement followed at the time. News outlets picked up the story soon after the post went public, confirming the fall took place in a London hotel restaurant. The injury was a fractured femoral neck, and a hip replacement operation followed. The coverage relied heavily on Morgan's own account, since no representatives or medical staff released formal statements. What nobody expected was the tone of his announcement. Despite the seriousness of the situation, he delivered the update in a numbered list filled with humor. Writing lines such as "tripped on a small step," "fell like a sack of spuds," and "New Year off to a cracking start." The list ended with a joke. "I blame Donald Trump," which sparked instant online reactions. Social media lit up with mixed responses, some laughing at the joke, while others focused on the real severity of a fractured femur and major surgery. Supportive messages came from fellow broadcasters and television personalities, including Emily Maitlis, Eamon Holmes, Lorraine Kelly, and Fred Sirius. Fans responded with concern and sympathy, while critics reacted in ways familiar to anyone who follows Morgan's public career. His personality shaped the reaction as much as the injury itself. The conversation spread quickly. Medical reports confirmed key recovery details. Approximately 6 weeks on crutches formed part of his expected rehabilitation, and roughly 12 weeks without long-haul flights, or about 3 months, were advised during recovery. At the time of reporting, he remained in hospital following the hip replacement operation. These details outlined the immediate road ahead. Mobility limits and travel restrictions became part of the story. No verified reports clarified how this injury would affect his television schedule or upcoming broadcasts, and no public information identified the hospital or surgical team involved. Those details remained unreported by credible sources. That absence left one clear fact: the only confirmed information came directly from Morgan himself. Everything else stayed unconfirmed. To trace the sequence clearly, before January 18, 2026, Morgan was active and working in London. That changed when a trip on a small step inside a hotel restaurant led to a fall, a fractured femoral neck, and urgent hospitalization on the same day. January 18 also brought his social media update, the hospital bed selfie, and the X-ray shared publicly. In the days that followed, media reports circulated, well-wishers responded online, and his recovery plan of 6 weeks on crutches and 12 weeks avoiding long-haul flights became widely reported. The timeline unfolded quickly. A single step triggered weeks of recovery. The story drew attention for another reason. A serious medical emergency met a public figure known for humor and controversy, and the contrast stood out. Some observers focused on the jokes in his post, while others emphasized the gravity of a fractured femoral neck and the reality of hip replacement surgery, especially in older adults. Both reactions played out side by side. The tone was unusual for a hospital announcement. As of the most recent verified updates, Piers Morgan remains in recovery following his hip replacement surgery. Mobility limits and travel restrictions now shape his immediate future, and no further official statements have been released beyond his own public posts. Major outlets have not confirmed additional developments. Recovery continues quietly. This is what happened when a London restaurant fall turned into a fractured femur, a hip replacement operation, a hospital stay, and a recovery period now underway. A sudden accident, real medical consequences, and a familiar media personality sharing it all in his unmistakable style complete the story.